Hello and welcome to Comically Incompetent. My name is Doug. This is a podcast all about movies, beer, anything in between, whatever you feel like talking about. To get started, one sad order of business, just to announce Ben will no longer be returning to the podcast in a co-host capacity. He'll be coming back as a guest, hopefully, at some point, but for now, he'll be no longer the co-host. I will be your sole host, the beautiful, amazing host that you will see every single week, with guests that cycle through. It's from returning faces, as you can see if you're watching the video version, or not see. So, first order of business, though, is the beer. We are drinking Uncle Sam's on the Juice. It is a juicy, hazy IPA from Wild Barrel Brewing over in San Marcos, California. Second beer from San Marcos in a couple weeks. But I will be drinking out of this wonderful, nice, fancy glass. And this week we'll be talking about Captain America Civil War, and to talk about that with me is my guest, fourth time I believe returning champion, Dominic. How you doing?
I'm feeling great. I think eventually I'm gonna have like a WWE intro. Come out of the smoke.
That'd be beautiful. We have like a little John Cena-esque song.
Yeah, pull out a Vince McMahon walk.
I would love that if you could pull that together for next time you're on the show.
That beer sounds really good, by the way.
It is really good. I'm never certain. Like, we have good beer every week. Like, we haven't gotten a beer that's bad, but like some are better than others. And this is probably my second favorite we've ever had on the show. Instantly amazing. I'll go over it more at the end of the show. It was really, really good. I'll have to save you a can. You'll have to stop by sometime.
Definitely. I'll have to pick up my goodie bag.
You will, because I have a lot of beer for you. Grayson came over on his way down to San Marcos, and I gave him, I think 2 4-packs. Because I had one I had saved for you guys a while back, and then a new one that I made for him for his birthday. So I think we just got to get into it, man. This is a beefy movie.
Yeah, there's a lot of important plot points as they pertain to the larger plot.
Yeah, this is like a 2.5 hour, chunky, just hefty movie.
Is it 2.5 hours?
Something yeah, it's pretty long.
I think it is, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, we start off with some kind of like background, 1991. We get to see that scene we see a million times of Bucky crashing some car at the time we don't know yet, and he's just being brainwashed and all that. It's nice to see Sebastian Stan. I think he killed in this movie. He was good in Winter Soldier, but he was really good in this one.
Mm-hmm. He essentially played like 3 different characters in this movie. He played them really well. There was a whole, it was where he knew Steve and where he didn't know Steve, and then
brainwashed him, non-brainwashed him. Yeah.
Does he have the? Or never mind. I was gonna ask a stupid question.
What was it?
I was gonna say, does he have a different name when he's the Winter Soldier? But then I was like, wait, that's the Winter Soldier.
He's the Winter Soldier. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, this movie was amazing. I remember seeing this in theaters, and this was one because it's an Avengers movie, but it's a Captain America movie. Even though I feel like the movie's kind of more about Tony and Cap equally, but it's Captain America movie, but it's not. And it's just it was definitely weird to watch his. I mean, to me, it's Avengers 3.
Yeah, I still think it's kind of weird that the title is Captain America Civil War.
Yeah,
it's a little interesting, but
I think first question though, are you Team Cap, Team Tony?
Okay, so we were talking about this with Grayson recently, and we were all Team Tony.
Yes.
Now, I recently re-watched the movie, and I'm split now. There's
really?
A civil war brewing up in me.
Oh no! Oh my gosh!
So I, just to say it very simply, I think that Tony is correct on
the Accords.
Yeah, the Accords. Yeah, I'll just say it that way. On the Accords, mostly. But Steve is correct on the amount of freedom that they need as people with special abilities. And Steve is wrong on Bucky.
Yeah. I think for me, Steve had the right idea, just went about it all the wrong ways.
Yeah. But I mean, that all culminates into that final scene, which makes it even more painful.
Oh man, Tony couldn't catch a break in this movie, man. He was just getting beat down left and right.
Yeah, seriously. He had like not a broken arm, but he got a black eye, and then in like the next scene, his arm was in a
Yeah.
sling, and then he got totally destroyed later on. And
Yeah, this was interesting to me because I feel like this was a big role reversal. This was Iron Man's acting a lot like Captain America normally would, and Captain America's acting a lot like Iron Man normally would in this movie. It's interesting to see that all of a sudden just like a hard role reversal.
yeah, Tony's definitely like taking charge of everyone and trying to rein everyone in.
Yeah, I mean, Robert Downey Jr. like can't go wrong in this movie. He's so good every single time, and I mean you see it, and I think a lot of that scene when he's first describing the Accords, and he's talking about the kid who died in Sokovia when they were fighting Ultron. Like that's a deep, like he did such a good job. Like you buy into everything that he's saying, and you're like, yeah, like that. It's so wrong what they did.
Yeah. That scene and the one right before that where that kid's mom confronts him. They're both just rough.
Yeah, which I do want to ask you as a animation expert. How do you feel about that scene where the technology using to de-age, how they made Robert Downey Jr. look like he was like 20 something instead of
we had to mention digitally de-aged.
We did. We have to.
They did a pretty good job. There's movies where you can definitely like see it happening. Or not see it happening, but you can tell. But they definitely did a good job, and I think it helps that we've already seen RDJ in the past on screen young. So I mean, it kind of triggers that past memory.
Yeah, because they used this in the movie before as well in Ant-Man to de-age Michael Douglas.
Yeah.
And they definitely corrected it a lot. It wasn't bad at all in Ant-Man, but they definitely corrected it for this movie. Mm-hmm. And it looked amazing. But I still think the movie that did the best was with Tarkin in Rogue One.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
Yeah, they killed it.
A lot of people say, oh, he just doesn't look right. Like, blah, blah, blah. I don't know. He looks
really
good.
To
me.
He looks
really
good.
Exactly like him.
Yeah.
Just riding off the VFX thing. Is this the first movie where they start using the whole helmet peels away VFX trope?
I think so. I think up to this point his helmet had opened, but not done the full down. Yeah,
pretty much everyone else like they had to take it off or something.
Yeah.
And I mean Black Panther right after this movie is like that trope.
Yeah.
I don't know. I personally really don't like that trope. But
yeah, I mean, I get what they're doing. It makes it all easier because instead of having the actors have to have something on their head, or it looks bad. Like even all the way to Endgame in that scene where Paul Rudd has like the suit on, but it's only halfway open. Even 2019, it didn't look very good when his face was still like obviously CGI'd with a helmet. Mm-hmm. So to see it, I think you have to take it off. So I think it's probably easier to do.
It makes sense, and then they can show their face more and not have to worry about taking a prop off and everything.
They're actors, the moneymaker, man. You got to see the whole thing.
Exactly, but I don't know. It ruins my immersion a little bit.
It does a little bit, yeah.
Except with his like nano armor, that makes sense.
Yeah.
But yeah. Anyway.
Yeah, which you brought up Black Panther. I do want to bring up this is Chadwick Boseman's first appearance in the MCU, which heartbreaking with what happened. I mean, I was really hoping to, it's hard because you want to talk about these movies and talk about him like now, but I'm not articulating what I want to say properly, but I think you guys know what I mean.
Yeah, no, it's rough. I mean, he was such a great actor and a great person, it seemed, from everything that I've seen. And I don't know, everyone just seemed to like him.
Yeah, I mean,
I did.
Yeah, to give us all those from here all the way to Endgame and 21 Bridges and everything while battling colon cancer is amazing. I mean, that's a testament to the dude.
What a hero.
Yeah, no, really. And I mean, I love him in these movies. He embodied T'Challa beautifully. I'm sure that there's that mixed thing of like, could we continue Black Panther? Do we have to retire the character? My thinking to that is in the comics, Shuri becomes the Black Panther after T'Challa. Mm-hmm. I mean, Letitia Wright's amazing actress. I think that's something that we could definitely do. I think that's a way of honoring the character as well. Because I think if you take some other actor and be like, this is T'Challa now, it's like, no, that's not how you do that.
Yeah, no. And I mean, lore-wise, it has to be someone in the family.
Yeah.
Right? So, I mean, that'd make perfect sense.
Yeah, I mean, they could do it, and they could do it really well, I think. But back to the movie, I mean, I think one of the interesting things is that Crossbones comes in here as a villain, which not set up in any way and not called Crossbones. Just all of a sudden he's there, and you're like, you kind of have to know the comic lore a little bit to understand that he's supposed to be Crossbones.
He has like his helmet is like a skull-ish, and it has like a white on it. So I mean, I don't remember seeing any bones, crosses or anything.
Nothing. It was like as if someone had like used a quarter and tried to scratch his armor in an X, and that was like pretty much all that there was.
Yeah. He was cool though.
He was cool. That fight scene was one of the cooler openings, and to see like the Falcon in there, like being professional, like Scarlet Witch in there.
Yeah, actually doing like valuable stuff as Falcon.
Yeah, and he was a little murderous in this one. He's like jamming his wings through people in this one.
Honestly, everyone is in this movie.
Yeah.
The stuff that Steve does. He like kicks a dude like 10 feet across the room. That guy's dead. Like, no way.
I remember talking about this with Adam, because I feel like Captain America kind of unspoken has that code, but then you see him in like Winter Soldier, and he kicks this dude against the metal railing and then kicks him in the ocean. It's like, that dude broke his legs, and he's not making it out of the water. Like, you killed him.
Yeah.
Like, you're supposed to be, like, and that dude's probably just a guard who didn't have any really idea what he's doing there. And Cap's just, like, breaking legs and breaking necks and being like, they'll be fine. It's like, no, they're not going to be fine. But
so right after Crossbones we have Wanda's villainous moment.
Yeah, that was intense for this movie. And
it was very surprising because it was so quick, and it's not something you'd expect to see in a Marvel movie, at least right in the beginning.
Yeah, which anyone who hasn't seen the movie, go watch it. But the scene, Crossbones basically is going to just kill himself and Captain America, and she uses her Scarlet Witch abilities to contain the explosion, but she can't, and just shoots it through a building, killing how many Wakandans, which then would bring in Black Panther.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that was an intense scene to have in the very beginning. Like, that was I think a good intro to what that movie was going to be, which is going to be darker, going to be a little more gore, going to be a little more intense than most Marvel movies at the time.
Yeah, and really highlighting all the fallout from their actions.
Yeah. Which, I mean, that's that scene that comes after when, after Tony kind of sets up the Accords, and they have General Ross, who's first time back on screen since the Incredible Hulk. He's basically showing there's like Sokovia, all the damage they've done, Washington, D.C., New York, like all the damage, which I don't blame the Avengers for New York.
Yeah, I think that one was a cheap shot.
Yeah, that was a bit cheap.
Loki came to us. It's not like we...
Yeah,
the Avengers happened to cause it.
Yeah, exactly. Like
I don't know about that one.
They caused Sokovia, they caused DC, but yeah, they didn't cause New York. Loki opened up a wormhole and brought in aliens. There's nothing they could have really done about that.
Yeah, but then that brings us into Vision's whole argument is, I'm going to paraphrase, basically, do superheroes breed supervillains? And basically he said, our power invites power. Yeah,
which is a great point to make. I mean, it's true. I mean, we said that since Tony showed himself as the Iron Man, villains have grown, like, the population of villains grew exponentially. Because, like, I think his line was, like, our very power incites conflict.
Yeah.
And, yeah, I mean, it's true. When a hero has to have a villain. I mean, in some cases, I think it doesn't have... Like, the Red Skull came before Captain America.
Mm-hmm.
But it's for most of these heroes, it's true. I mean, you didn't get an Abomination until you got Hulk. You didn't get... I mean, I guess Ronan was a villain before Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah, but I mean, he still existed. Thanos is out there.
Yeah.
Either way.
Yeah. I mean, and also, I think this is the Vision's, second appearance? I love that scene where, Cap's trying to console Wanda after the whole explosion in, was it Lagos? And he just, walks, phases through the wall. And she's like, you can't do that. We talked about this.
The door was open.
I love him as a character. Paul Bettany did an amazing job. I love the Vision.
Yeah.
And this movie was good to... I think they did a good job of... He could have very easily been a very, unrelatable, perfect, seriously, literally made perfectly man. But they gave him so many flaws in this movie that made him, accessible, instead of doing a Superman movie where it's I can't relate to Superman because he's still perfect even when he has conflict.
Yeah, see, I think that's where they differ. Superman is perfect. He's supposed to be, that level that everyone's supposed to reach and yada yada yada.
Yeah.
Vision is just a blank slate.
Yeah.
He was nothing, and he's just finding his way in the world.
Yeah, I always think it's crazy when I see him that I'm just like, that's an infinity stone in his forehead.
Yeah, just walking around.
And everyone's super chill. They don't really know what it is. They're just like, all right, got that thing in there.
This thing that emits gamma radiation, right?
Yeah.
Just walking around your house.
And they're all chill with it. Whatever.
Yeah.
Like, it took him to Infinity War to be like, maybe we should look into this.
So yeah, we had Lagos, and we came back to the U.S. What happened after that?
So
after
then
the Accords get introduced.
Yeah. So then after that, the team kind of starts debating like what do they want to do about it. Which then is when Cap he gets the call that Peggy Carter has passed away. And yeah, learns that the chick from Winter Soldier that he had a crush on is her niece. So now he was in love with her, and now. Not in love, but has feelings for her niece.
Okay, I didn't catch that at first, actually. I thought he knew she was his niece. Or her niece.
No, because there's that scene where she's at the funeral, and they're like, now like bringing up one of Peggy's family, and then she walks up, and they're like, Cap's like, or Sam Wilson sees her first, and kind of like nudges Cap, and then Cap looks up, and she's like, being her niece was, and then whatever, and then she's like, that's why I didn't tell anybody. And Cap's
I guess that
like,
makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. Huh.
Which I started watching the show, Agent Carter, because I was like, I want some backstory. I like her character. That show's pretty fucking amazing.
That's what I've heard. I haven't watched any of the shows, to be honest.
Yeah, because I had seen some Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., and I was like, whatever. Take it or leave it. But Agent Carter's pretty good. I would recommend it to anyone who hasn't seen it. It's on Disney Plus in its entirety, so check it out if you want to check it out. But yeah, that was, I think a sad scene. You see him as what's it called, the pallbearer?
Yeah.
At her funeral. I mean, and I think without even saying it, that scene hits deep because you know how much he loves her. You know their history, and you know what she meant to him. Mm-hmm. And now for him to be a super soldier and still be the same age, but carrying her, like what?
And she didn't even remember him at the end, right?
Yeah, that was what movie was that?
I don't remember. I just remember they said that she had dementia, I think.
Yeah.
Or the other one.
It makes sense.
Yeah.
Sorry, complete side note. I just noticed in your background, Ant-Man's on top of Cap's shield.
He is? Hey, look at him.
I just noticed that. Sorry, it caught my eye. Yeah, and then at the end of that scene is when Black Widow decides that she's going to try, not convince him, but she's like, hey, I'm going to Vienna to sign the Accords. And Cap's like, I'm not going to sign it. He wants no part of it. Which is where they get to Vienna and we get to meet T'Challa, the Black Panther, and
T'Chaka.
And King T'Chaka. That dude, I mean, they just bring such, like, you love them immediately as they're on screen, both of them. You see you understand their relationship, you see the love they have for each other, and they're not even on screen for 2 minutes yet.
It was probably like 15 seconds, their interaction.
Yeah.
And you definitely get it right away.
Yeah, which I love, and it had to be said because since T'Chaka was going to die 2 minutes later, they had to set up that relationship, and they did beautifully. And I think a lot of that comes from the actors and seeing how amazing they are. Was Chadwick Boseman, obviously, and John Kenny? And I mean, they just killed their father-son immediately, and you believe it right away because they're so good at that. And go ahead.
See, when I this is unrelated to the father-son thing.
Yeah.
When I first saw this movie, I had no idea who Black Panther was. And was he in the trailer? I don't remember.
Yes, he was. But I think very quickly. Like, it's not a lot. They kind of teased
scenes.
it. Yeah.
Yeah. And I was like, oh, who's that? And I'm kind of dumb when I see movies for the first time. I just don't think at all. And so the whole time I'm like, what's this guy going to do? Like, who is he? And then we see him later. I'm like, oh, okay.
You're one of the people in the theater that at the end of the chase scene took out his helmet and you're like, oh.
Yeah, I shut my brain off the first time I see movies.
You're taking it in. It makes sense. There's too much to handle from something, especially a movie this beefy, that's just constantly throwing new things at you left and right.
Yeah.
I remember it took like a few viewings of Infinity War. Like, I remember the first time I saw Infinity War in theaters, I was like, I need to see it again. I missed probably like 1,000 things. But
there's just so much happening.
There's so much to take in.
One visual thing that's kind of cool that they've done up to this point, I think they did it throughout the rest of the movie, I don't really remember though, was they had a lot of low-angled shots on the heroes. Kind of like emphasizing their stature and making them look taller than they actually are. I thought that was kind of cool.
Yeah, my first thought is that when you see that at the end of the funeral, when it's Cap talking to Black Widow, and yeah, it is a low angle on both of them. That's true. That's a good point. I never noted. Like, I never put it together. That's a good point. We also get introduced in this movie. I'm blanking on his name right now. The guy who's the mastermind behind it all.
Something Zemo.
Baron Zemo. Thank you. Yeah. And he makes himself look like Bucky to then blow up the Vienna meeting, the U.S. United Nations meeting in Vienna.
Yep.
And so now Chadwick has this amazing scene where he talks about death in his culture, and then says, like, I'll be the one to kill him, Bucky, or he'll kill the Winter Soldier myself. And that was just cool. Yeah,
see, that's the moment I was like, well, who's this guy?
Okay, man.
But yeah, so he blew up the Parliament building to get everyone focused on finding Bucky.
Yeah. Putting all the focus on him.
So Bucky was just, like, living in New York. It was New York, right?
No, I think he's in Bucharest, right?
Oh, yeah, you're right. It was.
Yeah,
I thought it was New York.
Yeah, they never really say it anyway. It's a city of some kind.
But so right after this is Steve hunting Bucky down, right?
Yeah, so then Steve knows, like, okay, they're going to go after Bucky hard. And he's kind of like, I think his reasoning is like, Bucky's going to kill these soldiers. But then really it's these soldiers are going to try and kill Bucky. And so he tries to rationalize it, which then we have that scene, which I think my favorite Falcon line is when Falcon goes, "Are you sure?" And Cap's like, "I'm sure." He goes, "Because people shooting at you end up shooting at me too." And I love that line. I think that has like such a deep like meaning for, especially his character. He's not a sidekick, but like the second hand to our main hero. It's because anything that Cap has to do, so does the Falcon. Anything Cap faces, so does the Falcon. And so it's a true thing that a worry that you don't ever really see in movies of the guy being like, I just got to make sure that this is 100% because I'm not going to risk my life for no reason.
Yeah. The loyal friend, the loyal comrade.
Yeah.
The Samwise to our Frodo.
Exactly.
Thank you. Steve is a friggin' Frodo in this movie.
Dude, sometimes. He's such a Frodo. Like, end of Two Towers, beginning of Return of the Ring. Real just bitchy Frodo.
Yeah.
Which, on Gregson's episode, I gotta tell you, I don't know if I told you this, he talked mad shit about Sam.
Yeah, I watched that episode the other day, actually, yeah.
I got super offended by that, because Sam's the greatest character in the history of characters in cinema and books.
Absolutely. How could you hate Sam? Every time I think of Sam, I think of the time that Frodo made him go down the fucking stairs.
And he's crying. He was crying.
Yeah.
Oh, Sean Astin. If you're watching, you're not. But if you are, you stole my heart in that scene. Where were we? I got lost in Lord of the Rings.
As usual. So we have the fight in the apartment building, which I thought is a really cool scene.
Really cool scene. Yeah.
The only nitpick I would probably say is Bucky blocking all the shots, all the bullets with his arm. Like,
yeah.
There would have been a bullet in his leg or something.
Yeah, I like that they all just kept shooting at his arm.
Yeah, like aim. Like there's one point where he literally puts his palm out at the dude. And
yeah.
The dude only shoots his palm. I mean, maybe he blocked it or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of cool choreography in that scene. You know, emphasizing their super strength and everything.
Yeah, and also whoever the choreographer was and like the fight coordinator, stunt coordinator, because that having in that narrow staircase. And all these extras being like the guards, that fight was so well put together and so like amazing that they're jumping around flights of stairs, but it's just this tiny like narrow staircase, and it's so good.
Yeah, and the whole time Steve is trying to make sure Bucky doesn't kill someone.
Yeah.
Like Bucky throws someone off the ledge at one point, and Steve grabs him.
Yeah, he's like, "Come on, man."
Yeah.
Yeah, that fight was amazing. Which then Bucky goes and jumps off to another building. That's when we get Black Panther for the first time suited up.
Oh. I remember that part in theaters.
Yeah.
Everyone went crazy because he just comes out of the sky and strikes the pose.
Oh, God.
It's that pose right there, actually.
He's so cool, dude. I remember when I first saw a trailer, I was like, how is this going to work? Like, that suit's not going to... I feel like seeing him in the suit might take me out of it. No, he looked good. He looked real good.
Perfect.
Because, like, you wonder when you're like, this dude dressed as a black cat's going to come jumping in. Like, how is this going to go? No, he fucking nailed it.
Yeah. He felt scary because he was so fast.
Yeah.
So fast.
And, like, a Sabretooth kind of moment where, like the claws come out.
Yeah.
That was cool, man. Oh. And Alex Sam's like, who's that? And Cap's like, all right, we got to find out. And just jumps over the next building, and they all start fighting. And then that chase scene happens between the three of them. Or four of them, because Sam's in there for a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, which I love. I saw, you've probably seen it too. Like, they have, like, behind the scenes on how they shot those. And it's so funny because, like, there's shots of, like, them jumping off, like, buildings and stuff and then landing. But when you see the shot in real life, they're kind of just jumping off a box that's, like, half a foot in the air. And they have to land as if they just landed off a building and then start running.
Yeah, it's either that or they throw a stuntman off a roof and hope he lives. It's one of the two.
Yeah.
Like the one where in the beginning in Lagos where Steve gets blown out of the building, I think.
Oh, yeah.
And he, like, falls 2 stories and hits something and, like, flips
that
off.
looked painful.
That was a real guy that did that.
These stunt coordinators, man, I've heard people talk about it before, and I fully agree. There should be a section in the Oscars for stunt coordination.
Absolutely. I think there's, specific awards for them, but not there.
They need a main stage, man. These dudes,
Definitely.
these men and women get beat up and zero credit.
Yeah.
And then you get sometimes the actors like, oh, I did all my own stunts. And there's probably a stunt person on the side like, no, you didn't. Like, I did a lot. Like, but whatever.
Yeah, you did, but they're all super safe.
Yeah. Like, the stunt person did the stunts of them getting thrown off a building. They did the stunt of them, like, swinging a sword.
Yeah, doing a dive roll or whatever.
Yeah, exactly. Because, like, the producers aren't going to let them do the scary stunts.
Unless they're Tom Cruise. Then they get to hang off of a plane as
Dude,
it takes off.
That's insane. How did he not? I would have pooped. Just right there, then and there, hanging from a plane, I would have pooped.
I think at that point, after everything is done, it's just kind of another day. Another day in the life of Tom Cruise.
Strapped to a plane that's taking off. That's insanity. Oh my god. Which the only CGI in that whole scene for him... Sorry, tangent on Mission Impossible. The only CGI is that they just took out the safety vest they strapped to the plane on.
Yeah, he was literally hanging off the thing.
That's so crazy to me. Like, I'm not the biggest Tom Cruise fan, but that was pretty awesome.
Yeah, you gotta appreciate the effort that goes into that.
Yeah, definitely. Credit where credit is due. He deserves every, like, praise for hanging off a plane for a movie.
Okay, quick side tangent.
Yeah.
If you could replace an actor in the MCU with Tom Cruise, who would it be? A hero with Tom Cruise.
Oh, I was gonna say Hawkeye, but then you said a hero.
Well, I guess just the actor, but he would be playing that hero is what I meant.
Yeah.
Not just Tom Cruise in the MCU. That would be dumb.
That would be amazing, though. Part of me wants to say... I want to say Hawkeye.
I could see it.
I feel like he'd be like I feel like he'd bring more than Jeremy Renner brought to the character. Not that Jeremy Renner is bad. I just think they didn't write the character super well.
I think he would just be a different Hawkeye. He'd be like a more physically engaged Hawkeye.
Yeah, could you imagine with a mohawk when he's Ronin, though?
Oh.
That would be pretty amazing. Or we just replace him as Black Widow and put him in a skin-tight leather suit.
Not down.
I mean, we'll just... If you have fan fiction of that, just throw it our way. When?
Anyway.
Where are we again? Chase scene.
Chase scene, yeah.
So then, Cap, Falcon, Black Panther, and Bucky are all arrested for basically destroying half of Bucharest for a chase scene.
Yeah, like a building and a freeway.
Yeah, they took down a freeway in this middle of this fight. And they're all arrested in this scene, which then we have Cap and Tony. Tony kind of trying to apologize to Cap in this scene. And he brings up those pens that they signed some old, like the World War II, the thing to end the war, I think.
Yeah, I think that's what it was for.
Yeah, for Cap. But then, obviously, Tony doesn't go Tony's way. It ends up making things worse, I think, in the end.
he almost gets Steve. He almost convinces him, and I forget exactly what it is that drives Steve off again.
It was Wanda, having Wanda be like trapped
That's what it was.
inside. Well, trapped. He thought that she was being safe in there, where he was hiding her away in there in the compound.
Yeah, that's what it was.
Yeah, and then this whole scene where Zemo goes in and he basically re-brainwashes Bucky. And
the actor that played Zemo killed it. I'm just gonna say that.
Yeah, Daniel Bruhl. Yeah, he was amazing. Yeah. He's supposed to be a main character in the Falcon Winter Soldier show whenever that comes out.
Yeah, I guess he's still alive.
Yeah, because the living are not done with him yet. We'll get there. And then, so Bucky breaks out, and then they have this fight scene, and I like the part where Black Widow's like, "You got a suit?" And Tony's like, "Just this 3-piece I'm wearing." Like, he didn't even have an Iron Man suit. But one of the most powerful moment in this fight, when brainwashed Bucky is breaking out, is Tony goes to attack him, and he puts on, like, he just has, like, he turns his watch into, like, just an Iron Man glove, and he goes to block the gun, and Bucky shoots, which I think Bucky was going to kill him.
Yeah, I don't think Tony actually thought he would. It was either he didn't think he would, or Tony's like, "Holy shit, I just blocked that. I'm still alive."
If he didn't have that glove, he would have been dead.
Yeah.
And that's insane to me. That, I think, and you could see on his face, like, Robert Downey played that beautifully. You can see, like, the shock of, like, oh my god, he actually was going to kill me.
Yeah, I like that Tony tried to fight for, like, for a couple seconds, then he just gets thrown across the room.
Yeah, and then Black Widow comes in and she gets beat to hell by him, but
yeah, that was rough.
And Agent 13, Peggy Carter's niece, comes in and she tries to fight and gets her ass kicked because, you know, super soldier with a giant metal arm. Mm-hmm. And then Black Panther tries to take him down.
Yeah,
but,
we get to see Black Panther fight in sneakers.
Dude. Yeah. That was a cool fight. That was short fight, but a cool fight still.
You could tell, even on brainwashed Bucky's face, that he's, like, outmatched.
Yeah.
Completely.
Yeah. Which, that fight ends by them getting... He tries to get on a helicopter, and not Steve Rogers, but Chris Evans shows how absolutely shredded he is by holding a helicopter and the bar and just being absolutely yoked. Which, that was obviously not a real helicopter, but that was really him. Like, there's no CGI muscles on that. Which, how shredded do you have to be to look like that? Oh, that was weird.
I mean, you got to be shredded enough to play Captain America.
But that's like a different... Dude. That was like, whoa.
Yeah, he's big. He definitely looked big in, like, the first Captain America. I feel like you could tell that it was touched up a little bit. But definitely, if he got, like, the right shape...
Yeah.
in this movie. By this movie.
Yeah. Which then helicopter goes down, and instead of in Winter Soldier, Bucky pulling Cap from the river, Cap pulls Bucky from the river this time.
Oh, I didn't catch that. That's interesting.
A little role reversal there. And then that's when Natasha's like, we need more people. And she's like, I know a guy. And Tony's like, so do I. And he's like, where's yours? And she's like, downstairs. Where's yours? And then all of a sudden, Queens, New York... Tom Holland as the Spider-Man is introduced.
I love that whole scene, too, of RDJ, not even Tony, just RDJ hitting on Aunt May. And
Marissa Tomei, gorgeous. My God.
I mean, yeah.
And when you put her on the list of past Aunt Mays.
Where would I put her? Wait, was that what you had?
No, I said just compared to the other ones. Oh. But now I'm curious, where are you putting her on the fly? We got Sally Field in the Andrew Garfield one. I don't know her name from Tobey Maguire Spider-Man.
I mean, if it was like a fuck, marry, kill thing, this Aunt May would be first. Mary would definitely be Toby.
Of course.
Whatever her... I was about to say what's her name, but obviously it's Aunt May. And then the other one would be last.
Sally Field from Andrew Garfield.
There you go.
Which, I gotta say, I think that Tom Holland was the best Peter Parker we've gotten.
Yeah, he's perfect age and, like, you know, face and everything. He was just perfect.
Yeah, I don't think he's the best Spider-Man, but he's definitely the best Peter Parker we've had.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. He might grow into the best Spider-Man.
I'm sure he will. I just don't think we've seen it yet.
Yeah, no.
But I think he can get there. I think definitely the best Peter Parker we've had, though. I mean, he was good. He was so young in this one, too. He looked a lot younger in this one than he did in the other ones. And he just did a good job of being, like, the kind of bumbling, like, teenager, just awkward teen.
Yeah.
He did a great job.
Being dragged along on the adventure. Not dragged, but, pulled, guided.
Well, we kind of think it's kind of... He seems kind of like he's being dragged in this one, but then we get to see in Homecoming his, like, cell phone footage. Mm-hmm. And he's, like, stoked to be there. Which, yeah, I mean, I loved seeing him. I loved that Spider-Man was a part of it. I think that was something, like... Obviously, Sony didn't really want him to be, but then, they struck a deal for 3 times. And, I mean, he was a great addition just for the fight, because I think it was too jumbled to have him be a main character in this. So to have him there and Ant-Man just to fight was a really cool addition to the movie, which I can't help in your background, a hard lack of Spider-Man.
I know, right? I mean, maybe this is a promotional image, so they didn't want to advertise him.
That's true. You're right.
That's probably it. Cutting to the beginning of the fight, or not the beginning, but right before, we see Ant-Man come out of the van.
Yeah.
I like that they just have him in the back of the van. They don't even say his name, I don't think.
No. They call the only thing is Sam Wilson calls him Tic Tac.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a hilarious, like, and he's just like touching Captain America. He's like, oh, yeah, all right.
I want to know how many takes they had to do that with him and Chris Evans.
I feel like not many. As long as Chris Evans can keep a straight face, just kind of let Paul Rudd do his thing, and they'll probably get in a couple takes.
Oh, definitely. Paul Rudd's hilarious.
Oh yeah, he kills it. And this fight scene, like I think one CGI thing I want to talk about with you though, you and I have talked about a million times. This is a conversation we're gonna have for the 1,000,001 time. The CGI around his Iron Man and War Machine's necks when their helmets are down, it looked really bad in this scene.
They hadn't nailed it yet. I mean, this is the first time I think they did that trope.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure all the other times they were always wearing something, and then they comped the helmet over that, so that's why it looked more natural.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's one of the reasons I don't like that trope.
It looked really rough. I mean, you kind of see him moving, but the suit's not really moving with him in the right directions a little bit.
Yeah, you could see him moving under the suit a little bit. Yeah, and his hair is perfect.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Oh. It's RDJ. You can't make his hair not perfect.
Maybe his suit holds his hair together. I wouldn't doubt it, honestly.
He would figure that out. Yeah, he would figure out the science behind that.
So when Peter Parker, or Spider-Man, I guess, is introduced in this scene and Tony yells "Underoos,"
yeah.
Do you know what that means?
I think Underoos was like it's like something you put under your clothes for or maybe it's like pajamas or like a onesie or kind of thing.
Is it like a kid's brand pajama or something?
I think so.
That's awesome.
I'm gonna look it up. If you have any things you want to talk about the beginning of the fight, you go ahead. I'm gonna look it up.
I think that would make sense. That fight is so good. I mean, just how does it begin? Oh yeah, they're talking at the beginning and they argue and then.
I got it. It's a brand of children's underwear from Fruit of the Loom, and the picture is of Wonder Woman underwear.
Wonder Woman underwear.
So.
Interesting.
Especially, they are made with superheroes, animated programs, and sci-fi fantasy designs.
I guess that fits, yeah.
It does fit. But yeah, the beginning of this fight is them, like, kind of... Tony's trying to reason with the Cap, like, just come with us. You're just going to make this worse. Because, we kind of skipped over, but yeah, the reason Cap and Bucky are running is because Bucky knows that there's other Winter Soldiers like him.
Oh, yeah.
And that's what Zemo's trying to go for. So they're trying to go and stop that. Well, Iron Man's team was trying to stop Bucky from going on because they still think he tried to kill everyone in Vienna.
Yeah, they know nothing about the other Buckies.
Yeah, exactly. Which, I think if Cap would have just sat down with Tony and just explained the situation, I think we all would have been fine.
Exactly. But then you'd ruin the plot, Doug.
You're right. Plot needs to continue no matter what.
You could say the same about any civil war that's ever happened.
No, well, not... it gets problematic for some of them.
Here.
It gets problematic for some of them. But, yeah, this one was... I feel like it all could have been stopped so easily, which I mean, not that I don't love this movie. Like, this is easily one of my favorites, but it's kind of weird to watch a movie that you go, well, this could have been avoided. It's cool, but it could have been avoided.
See, I think that was my problem when I first saw the movie, and I kind of generalized it to the whole movie, but upon rewatching it, I realized that issue for me, as far as the action is concerned, is really only in this part. Because there's so many times where Tony's team could have stopped Cap from getting to the jet. I mean, like, he blew up like 6 other planes. He could have just blown up their jet instead.
Yeah, or like when Vision shoots down the watchtower to block the plane instead of just blowing up the plane.
Yeah, like, I don't know. I mean, it's not made out of vibranium or anything. The plane. It's just the plane.
Could have been easily avoided that they don't get out of there.
Yeah. Or sorry, it's the Quinjet, not the plane.
Which, side note, they have the Quinjet on site at California Adventure here in Orange County.
What?
They have
like
a Quinjet. Yeah.
That's cool.
I don't know if you can go in it, but they have one.
That'd be really cool.
They would be really cool. I mean, this fight is easily, besides like Infinity War and Endgame, like one of the most epic scenes that we've ever gotten.
Yeah, because I mean, you got Spider-Man, you got good versus good technically. You know, heroes fighting each other. You get Giant Man, not Ant-Man.
I mean, even just the lineup scene where they're all like they get in their lines and they're like, "Are we doing this?" And then Spider-Man's like, "They're not stopping," and Iron Man's like, "Neither are we." And then that clashing moment where the music just swells up and they all just hit at the same time. You're just kind of like, "Oh my god, what's happening?" It was so cool to watch.
It was really epic.
I mean, to this point, there's nothing to compare with that amount of like epicness. I mean, because you have those moments when you're watching an Avengers movie where you're just kind of, your brain goes, "This is really cool watching all these heroes fight together," but then your brain can't really process the first time these heroes fighting each other. But it's so cool to watch because they all know each other's moves, so everyone's kind of just blocking everything.
Yeah, that comes into play actually later.
It does.
But yes, I wholeheartedly agree. What's your favorite little part in this fight?
I think my favorite little part is going to be between Spider-Man and Captain America.
Yeah, that whole bit, all their exchange is really interesting.
Yeah, like Spider-Man's like, "He told me to go for your legs," and like he takes out Cap's legs. It's like, and Cap's like, "What did he tell you?" He's like, "He told me that you're wrong, but you think you're right, and that makes you dangerous." Like all that stuff. Till finally Cap obviously overpowers him. He drops that like what's it called? The ramp you take from the airport to the plane.
The sky something. I don't remember what's called.
Yeah. He drops that on Spider-Man and he's like, "Where are you from?" And he's like, "Queens." He goes, and Cap's like, "Brooklyn," and just runs away. Like, I just like that exchange. I think that's probably my favorite. That or when Clint is like to Black Panther, he's like, "Hi, I'm Clint." And Black Panther's like, "I don't care." And then just goes and starts kicking him.
Yeah, I love that part.
Yeah, what about you?
I'd have to split it between two. One would be when Spider-Man is fighting Bucky, and Bucky throws his punch with the robot arm, and Spider-Man just catches it. It's like, whoa, is that robotic?
Oh, yeah.
And Giant Man, or whatever his real like comic book name is.
I don't actually remember. Yeah.
He probably doesn't have one. I'm probably just making that up. But big Ant-Man.
Yeah, I like when, if I split myself in half, don't come back for me. And like, he's gonna split himself in half?
Yeah, I love how he's like amping himself up.
Yeah, I'm the boss, I'm the boss, I'm the boss, I'm the boss. You're right, that did remind me. You brought up that scene with Spider-Man racing after Falcon and Winter Soldier. Mm-hmm. And Falcon's like, "Everyone's got a gimmick now," as Spider-Man's like crawling on the window.
Yeah.
But I love the shot when he webs him up, and then it's just Falcon and Winter Soldier just on the ground, and after Falcon takes out Spider-Man, and Winter Soldier's like, "You couldn't have done that the whole time." And Falcon's just like, "I hate you." Like, I just love their interactions.
Yeah, they're just like forced to be together.
Which reminds me a lot of the scene earlier when Cap kisses Agent 13.
Oh yeah.
And
they're in the back of the. Yeah, they're in the back of the Volkswagen Bug.
Yeah.
Can you move your seat up?
No. It's like, I love their exchanges. I'm very excited for that show. I hope it comes out eventually. Mm-hmm. I know you and I talked about it 2 weeks ago when we talked about like why it maybe hasn't come out yet, but I just want to watch it. I want to watch the show. I like their interactions in this movie, and it's only because of this movie I'm excited for the show.
Yeah.
So hopefully it comes out soon.
Slight side note. What's Falcon's name?
Sam Wilson.
Sam. Yeah, okay. I just couldn't remember for a minute. I was thinking of 8 Mile.
What's his name in 8 Mile?
Clarence.
Oh, yeah.
This guy's name is Clarence. Lives at home with his 2 parents or something like that. I don't remember.
I forgot he's in 8 Mile. I haven't seen that movie in a long time.
It's such a great movie.
Mom Spaghetti.
Anyway, we didn't talk about Wanda in this fight.
Yeah, so this is after she took down the Vision.
Mm-hmm.
Because Clint helps her escape.
That's such a good part.
Yeah. Oh, it's just so powerful when Vin's like, if you do this, they'll only still keep fearing you. And then she has that line, she's like, I can't control their fear, only my own. And then she just shoves them through, like, how far into the center of the earth?
Yeah, we don't see him stop. Like, the camera just cuts away.
He goes, probably 4 or 5 miles down into the center of the earth.
It's got to be a problem with the Earth's tectonic plate after that.
Something. She has no regard for anything going on down
geology.
There. I took one geology class in college, and I think I know that what she did was wrong.
She sent him through the wrong rocks.
I got a C in that class, and it was a pity C, so I think I know what I'm talking about.
Slight offshoot from her, not geology. Vision's whole interactions with Wanda they're just so cute. That's the best word I can use to describe it, because I feel like she's not bouncing the same energy off of him.
Yeah,
he's just trying to he's not flirting, but he's just kind of like a little puppy around her, like when he cooked for her.
Yeah. Yeah, when you see him trying to cook, and he's like, I've never actually eaten anything, but yeah, their interaction, I mean, it sets up a lot of why they you see them fall in love in later movies. Mm-hmm. And it kind of traces back to that scene of it makes sense. They worked well together, they were cute together.
Yeah, I mean, and they're both from the Mind Stone.
Yeah.
There's probably something there.
And in the comics, I mean, I think they divorce, or they get a divorce, and there's one storyline and stuff, but they're married in some storylines. It's intense. Love is complicated.
Love is a civil war.
It's comically incompetent, if you will.
I'm losing my mind.
Oh, it's so fucking hot in this room. It's supposed to be 100 and something this week. It's Labor Day weekend we're recording this. It's supposed to be 100 and something this weekend.
Yeah, it's supposed to be 114 tomorrow.
Oh, yeah, for you, right? You're a lot more inland than me.
Yep.
I'm complaining because it's going to be 95.
Yeah, but your room gets super hot. The AC works in this house.
It doesn't work. It works in just not this room. Just not the room that I'm in. I don't know why. But what are you going to do? Yeah.
So they're about to get on the Quinjet. And so Wanda. Yes, Wanda. No, Wanda. What am I talking about?
Where are you going?
Bucky and Steve are about to get on the Quinjet, and they're being chased by a certain Panther. Someone steps in between them, I think.
Yep. The Black Widow all of a sudden switches sides, and she just constantly tases Black Panther until giving enough time for Bucky and Cap to escape. And then she has I think probably my least favorite Black Widow moment in history was the line where she's like, I said I'd help you find them, not help you catch them. There's a difference. And I was like, oh, you ass. You suck.
I saw the sass in your neck, and that's exactly what she did. Or she didn't do it, but that's how it feels like. Sounded.
Yeah, it's what it comes off
as. That's the kind of tone she put off. Yeah.
It was so frustrating. I remember that was the one line I was like, oh, I don't like you right now. For 2 seconds, I don't like you as a character.
And that part just felt sad with Black Panther. The music swells up, and he doesn't get his revenge.
He had them.
Yep, had him right there.
And then even sadder, what's it called? A distracted Vision tries to just incapacitate the Falcon, misses, and hits Rhodes in the War Machine suit. He falls and at this point,
into the ground.
Yeah, he fell a couple hundred plus feet, 1,000 feet. Least. Yeah. And just hits the ground. And honestly, you kind of think he's dead. There's Friday who says like life signs or like vital signs critical or something. So you know he's like living, but you're like, and then that look on Downey's face, and then Falcon comes in and he's like, I'm sorry, and then Tony just zaps him with his hand gauntlet.
Yeah, knocks the wind out of him.
Yeah, like that was just an intense scene. And then we know that everyone on Cap's side gets arrested at the end of this scene.
Yep.
But then we move on, and Cap and Bucky are on their way to, I don't remember where. Somewhere in the Arctic.
It's in Siberia. I can't remember exactly where.
Yeah.
I don't remember the coordinates.
Yeah, which is where I think Iron Man finally finds out what they were trying to do. And he's like, they're going to need all... And so he goes to where the raft where everyone is being imprisoned.
Yeah,
and
the
he goes
undersea prison.
Yeah, which I think is called the Raft.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. And he goes to Sam, and basically everyone hates Tony. Like, Clint has the lines like, here he is, everyone, the savior, and all that stuff. He's being a sassy little jerk. And I do have to side with Iron Man on that one, where he's like, Clint, you chose to fight. He's like, you could have been at home with your kids. You left them to come fight, like, what you knew was going to end this way. He's like, all you have is to blame yourself. And Clint's like, well, you didn't have to do it. And it was like, no, like, I'm with Iron Man on this one. Like, Clint, like, you left your kids and your wife to come fight a fight that you knew would put you in this situation.
Yeah. See, I agree in some aspects, but I think this is where Tony realizes, like, the full gravity of the Accords, like, that what they're actually going to entail down the line.
Yeah.
It reminds me a lot of the whole X-Men... I forget exactly what you call that, but where they start giving out like the shots to take away your powers.
Oh, yeah.
That whole timeline right there. It reminds me of that a lot.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's a weird scene to watch, seeing like Wanda, like, it's like a straitjacket basically, so that she can't use her powers.
Yeah.
And he goes to Sam and he's like, I'm here as a friend. Like he's like, Cap was definitely off the reservation, but I know, like, he needs help right now. So then Tony goes, and this is the big scene where you find out that Bucky was the one who killed Tony's parents in that car crash we've seen a million times throughout the movie.
Ugh.
And Captain America's like, I knew the whole time. He's like, but it wasn't him. It wasn't really him. And Tony's like, I don't care. And they start having this scene, the fight scene. But at least I think my favorite fight scene in all of the MCU, Cap versus Iron Man.
It frustrates me, but it's a very good one.
Oh, it's a very good scene.
It frustrates me in A, just because of the context of the story of the fight, and B, if Iron Man would have just backed off like 20 feet maybe, he could have got him. He has a laser on his wrist. He could have cut Bucky in half. Anyway,
yeah, I mean the music hitting, and then you have that famous shot where it's Tony and he's shooting the lasers at Cap, and he's like got the shield down at fight, and then they kind of freeze frame that shot for a second.
Oh.
And you also have the scene where Bucky's ripping out that thing and his chest piece, or the shot where they're just, both of them, Bucky and Cap, just beating an Iron Man on the same time. Oh, it's just so many good shots.
So sad, man.
Yeah.
I forget exactly what I was going to say. The part... So Steve is wailing on Tony.
Yeah.
Just beating him against the wall, up against the ropes. Yeah. And Tony tells Friday to analyze his attack patterns.
Yeah.
And then he like uses the suit AI to counter. I don't know. That was so cool.
It was a cool scene. Yeah, Cap goes to punch and Tony just stops it and like grabs his fist.
Yeah, because he knows exactly, or he doesn't know, but the suit is like counteracting it. And he uses like the elbow thrusters to.
Yeah.
It's tight.
Oh yeah, when he goes to elbow him, it's like hits like the blaster and like hits him with the blaster.
Yeah, that's what it was. Yeah.
But I think the saddest line you get in this whole movie is where Iron Man finally is kind of beating Cap, and Cap's like, he's my friend, and Iron Man's like, so was I. And like that was just like such an intense, like, oh my god, that whole scene is like it's heartbreaking to watch, especially after everything you set up, like kind of their friendship throughout these movies, like their growth, to just have them then just reduced to just they're both on the ground after fighting each other, just like nearly passed out from exhaustion.
Yeah, I'd like to think that at that moment Steve realized like I've gone a little too far.
Yeah.
I don't know though.
I think part of him did, because after that scene is when we have he sent Tony the phone basically saying, I hope you can understand where I was coming from.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not an apology, which is kind of annoying, but he is basically like, I hope you understand what my thought process was.
I'm sorry you feel that way.
Yeah, exactly. He was being a Karen.
Yeah. Yeah, I like that whole part. It's very emotional.
Yeah.
There's one cool visual thing at the end. So, Steve stabs the shield into Tony's chest.
Yeah.
And then, cuts off his power, basically. And they leave, and Tony's there alone. And there's like these cement pillars behind him, and then just like open air.
Yeah.
And it looks like Tony's in jail. They're like bars.
Oh, yeah. Interesting.
Yeah. It's pretty interesting. I don't know entirely what that's trying to portray. What is Tony being jailed by? But
yeah,
it's interesting.
Maybe the Accords were really putting him in jail as well. Like maybe like because he agrees with them, but also I think you can definitely see throughout the movies he's a little hesitant about him as well.
Yeah, maybe he's realizing that he limited himself.
Yeah. I don't know. That's good. I don't put this stuff together when I watch movies. Like having all you guys as guests and pointing stuff like this out. I'm like, oh yeah, I never saw that. Even though I've seen these movies a million times.
Well, now that we're pretty close to the end, or we're at the end, basically, I wanted to ask you a question.
Yeah.
If Tony would have killed Bucky, how do you think that would have affected his plot line after these movies? What character would he have turned into?
I don't think he would have been the same character that we saw, because I think Black Panther says he was letting revenge consume him. Mm-hmm. And I think he almost really got consumed by this revenge. If he would have killed him, I think it would have gotten a hold of him. And I don't think he would have been the hero that we got in the end.
He probably would have been a lot more forceful, a lot more vengeful Tony.
Yeah, I don't think he would have. I don't think him and Cap would have ever recovered like they did in Endgame, not Infinity. Yeah, in Endgame, I don't think they would have grown the way they did, and I don't think he would have been the hero that we saw. Because I think his whole thing of being a hero was self-sacrifice, and killing someone out of revenge is the farthest thing you can get from self-sacrifice.
Yeah.
So I think. What do you think?
I agree. That's pretty much my thought process on that. Yeah. I agree.
The next thing we have is, Black Panther goes up to Zemo, and he finds out that it was Zemo the whole time, and not Bucky. So then Zemo's going to kill himself, because we get his whole villain monologue. And then Black Panther stops him, and he's like, "The living are not done with you yet." He nails out the scene. And then we get Tony helping Rhodes learn to walk again with his new robotic legs he built for him.
Yeah, that part's a little rough.
It's sad to watch, especially with he has that moment of like he kind of it sets in like what his situation is. Mm-hmm. But
he definitely keeps his soldier mentality where he still believes in whatever in the Accords.
Yeah,
he's been paralyzed.
Rhodes is one of my favorite characters. He draws that beautiful line of like he's still the hero that Cap is, like that's still that soldier. But he also kind of has the smarts of Tony to kind of see like where he should be a hero and where he shouldn't be, and that's why he sides with the Accords. And he sees what he does wrong. Yeah. And I like that he kind of draws that middle ground of he's that soldier still, but he also kind of knows when there's times where he shouldn't be a hero, and he knows that as well. And I love him as a character. Now I think we got to go in the end credit scenes, because we get one kind of mid credit scene and one end credit scene. One where we get to see Wakanda for the first time. And that scene was really cool, but I think it's funny that they obviously hadn't even started pre-production probably on Black Panther. Mm-hmm. So lab was so different than what we get in the Black Panther movie. Yeah,
they hadn't nailed down the art style yet.
Yeah, like they hadn't really figured out the look of what they wanted, but still a cool scene. Then that's when Bucky goes back frozen till they can figure out how to get the Russian spyware out of his head.
Russian spyware.
That's what it is.
It's exactly what it is.
When you think about it, that's what's going on. And then the end credit scene where you get Spider-Man.
Oh yeah, I forgot. And he's in his room he still has the new suit, right?
Yeah, he's got the new suit, and he has like the new web shooter on his arm. Yeah. Yeah. So before we wrap up the movie, what's your favorite part of this movie?
Overall?
Yeah, it's a chunky one. Like, what's your favorite?
I personally like the part where Tony figures out that Bucky killed his parents, and then Tony just goes ape.
Yeah, that was the intense scene. Very intense scene.
It's frustrating for me because I personally wanted him to get him, but I know he shouldn't have.
Yeah. Yeah, that reveal was intense when you get to watch that scene finally of really seeing the whole scene play out instead of just snippets of the crash. Mm-hmm. And you know that he's the one that killed him. Oh, it's intense.
And killed him, like, pretty brutally, too.
Yeah.
Like, smashed his dad's face in.
And then choked his mom.
Yeah. What about you?
I think it's got to be... See, my favorite fight is the one at the end between Cap and Iron Man, but I think my favorite scene is when we finally get to the airport in Germany, and they have the big fight. And like you said, the fun part's, like, Ant-Man getting big, and, like... It's seeing, like, a lot more of these, like, characters and stuff in this fight that was very Avengers-esque, but without being... It was still, like, with a darker, less comic book campy tone to it.
Yeah, you get to see them show off all their powers and stuff.
Yeah.
And, we get to see Hawkeye do some cool things, actually.
Finally.
But, yeah, right?
We might shit on him a little too much on this show, but that's okay. I'm fine with it.
He deserves it.
He does. I don't know why, but he does. I think we get the beer now, if you're cool with that.
Yeah, great.
So, this is Uncle Sam's on the Juice. It works because Uncle Sam, America, Captain America, I think it works pretty nicely. It's from Wild Barrel Brewing, which opened almost exactly 3 years ago, on September 30th, 2017. Like I said before, we have a lot of beer on this show. This is episode, I think, 31, so we've had 31 different beers on this show. And this is immediately my favorite. It's a hazy, juicy double IPA, dry hopped with Cascade, is that CTZ, and Vic's Secret hops. It is 70.5% alcohol by volume, and it's really damn good. Like, I popped it open the other night just to try it, and I was really blown away. I mean, I gotta go check them out. San Marcos is not too far from where I'm at, so it'd be like probably like an hour drive. Really damn good. I'd recommend it. The brewery is founded by two friends, Bill Sissick and Chris White. And they have a few locations, San Marcos and Temecula. I think they're both open for takeout, and maybe some dine-in with, like, 6 foot apart seating and all that stuff. I'd really check them out if you're in the area, San Diego area, or just Southern California in general. Might be worth a drive. Get out of the house a little bit. Go down and do something that's not sit on your couch and watch Marvel movies and not listen to this show on a loop like we know you guys do. Yeah, really good. I'd highly recommend the beer. It's called Uncle Sam's on the Juice again. I was laughing when I found it because I wasn't sure if that tied in as much as I wanted. Because I was going for something like kind of like war, Civil War, fighting, whatever. But it's a Captain America movie in the end.
Yeah.
Even though it doesn't feel like it's a Captain America movie in the end. So I also got just a little selfish plug, a little Windsor Home Brewing glass. They provide a lot of the beer for this show. So definitely check them out. There are a few locations around Southern California. So I think that about wraps up our Civil War episode. That's a chunky episode. It's going to be a little longer than normal.
Yeah, it went by very fast.
It did. I felt halfway through the movie and I was like, oh God, we're at 40 minutes.
Yeah, I saw that too.
It definitely blows by. But yeah, thank you guys so much for listening. And if you're watching, this is more of a test episode of our video versions. I haven't fully figured out if this is going to work yet. So if there's no video version on YouTube, it's because it didn't work and I did it wrong. If there is, this is our test version, our pilot, if you will, for a video version. So if you do want to watch video versions of the show, we are going to start doing that every single Monday. They'll be up at 7 a.m. on YouTube. So check it out. The only difference between the video and the audio version is that the video will not be edited at all, and the audio will be slightly edited. When I say edited, I don't mean taking out content. I mean take out the ums, ahs, and pauses and everything in between that you naturally do when you're speaking. That's the only difference. So check them out, whatever you guys want to watch it on, whatever you prefer, or listen to on Spotify, iTunes. Check us out on Instagram and Twitter at ComicallyPod. And Dom, thank you so much for being here, bud.
It was a lot of fun. Yeah.
Yeah, we'd love to have you back. Pick your movie, man. Whatever you want to be on, pick the movie. You're welcome back anytime. You are a favorite of the show for sure.
Oh boy, you shouldn't have said that.
Well, I know what I want to do after. So since, I guess at the beginning, Ben has decided to step back from the show, I'm taking control now. And we are going to do a lot of comic book movies. We're going to cover all the DC, other Marvel movies outside the MCU as well. We're also going to do Outside the MCU, so look forward to that. I know I want to do Lord of the Rings with you, Dom.
Oh,
I think we got to do a Lord of the Rings series down the line here for sure.
Have to. I'll make some lumbus bread.
Yes. I'm thinking 2-part for each movie, extended editions.
Okay.
So, but we do have Marvel movies, MCU movies going through to the end of November, because once a week, there's a lot of fucking Marvel movies, man.
Yeah.
I only started doing this because I thought Ben was going to be gone for a month, and now we're in this MCU review on episode, I think, like 14 or something, so hope you guys enjoyed. Dom, one more time, thank you so much for being here, man.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, next week, Adam will be on for Doctor Strange, so get excited for that, and have a great week. Bye.
Bye.